Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. Police are hunting down the culprit after more than 24 national and SAR flags were either stolen or defaced. $23 million of cash was seized in an anti-smuggling operation by customs. And a former government architect explains the nuances in public housing project designs over the years. More than 24 national and SAR flags put up at 2 public housing estates in Kowloon East were vandalized or stolen overnight. Police are still looking for the culprit, and no one has been arrested so far. Joanna Ho reports.
It was a sight to behold. Hundreds of national and SAR flags were put up in the Pink Shack estate in Choi Hong ahead of the city's 25th handover anniversary. But the effort by a pro-Beijing community organization quickly drew vandals. At least a dozen flags at Lam Shack House were found defaced early this morning. One was sprayed with black paint, while the fasteners of 3 other flags were slashed, leaving them dangling in the air. Police said another 2 flags, one of each from Lam Shack House and Kam Shack House, went missing. Officers arrived at the scene and took away some flags which had fallen on the floor. The case was classified as theft and flag desecration and is being investigated by the Criminal Investigation Department in Sao Mau Ping. A similar discovery was made at Upper Ngau Tau Kok Estate at around 6 a.m. Police said 3 national flags and 8 regional flags from Sheng Fu House had disappeared. No one has been arrested in either case so far. Under the National Flag and National Emblem Ordinance, anyone who burns, mutilates, scrawls on, defiles, or tramples on the Chinese flag and emblem faces a maximum of 3 years in prison. An amendment bill was only passed in the Legislative Council last year to enhance deterrence on violators. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Security has been beefed up at the Highspeed rail station in West Kowloon, one day after the government announced that President Xi Jinping would attend handover celebrations. It remains unknown whether the Chinese leader will physically attend the festivities or via virtual means. There is speculation that he will arrive by high-speed rail. Large numbers of officers were seen patrolling the West Kowloon terminus, which has been shut since cross-border travel was suspended 2 years ago. Certain exits at nearby Austin Station were also shuttered. Across the harbor, giant water barriers and railings were installed around government headquarters and a convention and exhibition center. Hong Kong's daily COVID caseload is edging towards 2,000, just 11 days after reaching 4 digits. There were 1,917 infections today, 118 of which were imported. The virus continued to spread in care homes. Latest cases included 2 residents and 2 staff at the Aura nursing home in Kwai Fong, and a night shift carer at the culture homes in Sai Ying Pun. The Fu Tai elderly home in Tuen Mun also added 3 more infections, taking the tally to 15. 3 students from the same class and a housemaster from a female dormitory at St. Stephen's College in Stanley also tested positive. On-campus lessons for that class will be suspended for 1 week. A public hospital staff union has decided to disband this week. The Hospital Authority Employees Alliance passed a resolution to dissolve the group in a special meeting on Friday. The union was established in December 2019 when the city was experiencing social turmoil. Members cited political suppression for the decision. The alliance had multiple run-ins with authorities, most notably a strike to force the closure of the city's land borders when COVID first hit Hong Kong in 2020. Its former president, Winnie Yu, is currently remanded for a national security offense. Customs in Hong Kong and Macau have seized $87 million of suspected smuggled goods on 2 vessels this month. And in the first, $23 million of cash was found hidden on one of the vessels bound for the casino hub. Kelly Pang reports.
After analyzing intelligence, Customs intercepted a river trade vessel in the western waters of Hong Kong on June 18th. Incomplete declaration forms filed by the ship, bound for Macau, had raised the suspicion of officers. Apart from $22 million of red wine, beauty products, and powdered formula, another $23 million in cash was also discovered on the vessel. This marked the first time bundles of cash were found on a cargo ship. The bust came just 2 days after Customs in Macau confiscated luxury foods and electronic products worth $65 million on board a vessel from Hong Kong. 4 men aged between 40 and 76 were arrested in the 2 operations. Grace Tan of the Syndicate Crimes Investigation Bureau said instead of directly smuggling the items to the mainland, the syndicate adopted a longer route to evade detection. She believed the goods were first shipped to Macau and then carried across the border by mules in small batches. Authorities added the cash was likely crime proceeds and did not rule out more arrests. Kelly Pang, HKIBC.
With housing once again the top priority for the next administration, modular construction methods will be key to boost construction speed. We talked to a former government architect who said the design of public housing projects has evolved to serve the needs of different periods. Isaac Lee has the story.
At first glance, you can hardly differentiate Oilman estates from other government housing projects in the past few decades. But once you step inside, it was a completely different story. A giant slide well in the middle of the building has created a unique scenery. And the bold design has attracted both photographers and tourists. A former government architect said such light wells were a main feature in Twin Tower blocks.
The reason why it's called Twin Towers is simply because of the configuration of the block. It is 2 towers together. The thought of the architects was that it can, because of the 2 towers, and then it can have the different levels, and so it can negotiate the slope. And of course, on the flat land, like Oilman, you can still have the 2 towers with a flat roof with the same height.
Techman House is one of the 61 public housing blocks which adopts the Twin Tower design. One of the unique features is this semi-open balcony access, which is praised by residents for providing good ventilation. But Twin Towers are not perfect, according to Wai, who used to work in the Housing Authority. She said the height limits and the floor area Twin Towers demand made them less flexible. And the design was phased out in mid-1980s.
The design of the buildings, especially domestic block, and especially for the low-income group, which is a no-frill design. Also, that means everything that is only provided for when it is necessary. So it really, cater for the needs of the society at that moment. So since we move on, and so I think that is the reality.
While Hong Kong has indeed moved on, demand for public housing remains robust to this day. That prompted authorities to tap into hilly areas for land. Shui Chu No Estate in Sha Tin, for example, is built 372 meters above sea level. To help residents navigate the hilly terrain, Shui Chu No Estate is connected by 9 bridges. None were more eye-catching than this 70-meter-long footbridge, linking the estate's entrance and its shopping center. To build 18 blocks in just 6 years, the Housing Authority adopted modular construction methods to speed things up.
The facade is precasted, the bathroom, the kitchen, the whole of it is precasted. So when all the components come to site, and then it can be assembled on site directly. It's just like Lego. some may think that that limits the design varieties.
As Hong Kong continues to develop at breakneck pace, Wai believes modular construction will become mainstream in future public housing projects. Isaac Lee, HKIBC.
Overseas, opinion remains highly divided in the United States, one day after the Supreme Court ruled there is no constitutional right to abortion. Female Democratic representatives in the Congress have voiced their outrage, but their Republican rivals felt otherwise.
This is part of the Republican Party's dark vision for America. They want to roll back every possible right that has been earned over the decades.
Trying to tell women what to do with their bodies, that is absolutely ridiculous. Our choice.
We're not going back. We're not going to be treated as second-class citizens, and we're dang on sure not going to be treated as property.
I am overjoyed. My heart is really full and just absolutely thrilled that the Supreme Court justices overturned Roe versus Wade with their Dobbs ruling, and I think this is a real answer to prayer and the beginning of the real work for the life movement in America.
Demonstrators continued to gather outside the top U.S. court. The ruling leaves individual states to make their own decisions regarding abortion. Democratic states such as California have already vowed to protect the fundamental rights of women by providing health care services they need. Norwegian police are now treating the shooting in capital Oslo over the weekend as one of Islamic terrorism. A man originally from Iran has been charged with murder after opening fire at the nightlife district, killing 2 people and wounding 20.
It's a very dark day in sunny Oslo because we had expected a lively and enthusiastic parade through our streets of people celebrating Pride after 3 years of pandemics and other standstills. Instead, we have a dark day where terror struck Oslo this night. Everything indicates that this has been an attack by extreme Islamists.
To cancel the Pride in that sense, was it the right message to send?
Well, this was a decision that was ultimately taken by the leadership of the Pride Parade based on their dialogue with police, and I can very much understand that that was a wise decision.
The city's mayor later confirmed that the Pride March was being postponed to a later date. Crowds turned up at the site of the shooting to lay flowers, including Norway's Crown Prince Haakon and his wife. The 42-year-old assailant had been known to security services and was only questioned last month. On to the weather now. Mainly fine and very hot tomorrow, apart from 1 or 2 showers. Temperatures will range between 28 and 34 degrees. Similar conditions on Tuesday, but turning cloudy with rain later in the week. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Sunday night. Join us for more news at 11:30. I'm Raymond Yeung. Thanks for watching. Good night.